Mr. Gromo.
How you doing, Mr. Dugan?
I'm good, sir. Good to see you as always.
Same here, same here. How's things at Eleo?
Everything is good, actually. Some of the recent changes, we've been making some traction, and that's exactly what we needed to do. So,
Great. Well, thank you all for joining the Department of Tourism, Hospitality, and Event Management's Tourism Tuesday. This is our final weekly speaker series. And this week we highlight nationwide industry professionals showcasing their background and expertise in hospitality, tourism, and leisure. This week we welcome Jason Dugan from Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida. Jason has spent 13 years in hotel management at the management company level with a strong sales focus, inclusive of full service and feature focused hotels. I will now turn over the session to Jason. Thank you, Jason.
thank you for having me, everybody. Thank you for being here. Excited to share this amazing story. What Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida is and what it represents and what it means to all of us, actually, and the entire community. So again, thank you everybody for being here this afternoon. So I'm going to take us through a little journey here from where we started to where we are today. And so it's just been an amazing process. I started in January, and it's been a long road. I at times wondered if we were ever going to open the hotel. Due to being in the middle of a pandemic. We were originally supposed to open on April 3rd. So we flipped the switch the morning of July 1st and had our very first guest stay. So we do have an on-site restaurant, and that restaurant, it was supposed to open much in advance of this, but the last day was September 1, and we opened on August 24th is when we've had our first dining guests sit down and order and pay for their meal in our restaurant. So, well, with that being said, here is a quick little glimpse of where we started. This is what we called our brand architecture. So basically we had hired an amazing company called Epiphany. So can everybody see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Perfect. So we had hired this great company called Epiphany. This is a branding company. This was to get the ball started, to give us an idea of who we were and what we were to become. We basically had a piece of land at first, and then this, dwelling, this infrastructure of a building that was being constructed. So what was it going to become? And so Epiphany gave us a lot of really good ideas, figuring out from the University of Florida and from the UF Health hospitals, what did ownership want this hotel to be? So some of you may know, some of you may not, but we are a nonprofit hotel benefiting education and healthcare. So every dollar spent here at the hotel goes right back into the university system. So it's just such a unique story. But with that being said, we had to come up with a brand promise, our brand cornerstones, our positioning statement, the name of the hotel, what our tagline was going to be, and different sound bites and boilerplate throughout. So some of our taglines, this is one of my absolute favorites, and this fits right into the fact that it is a hotel connected to the UF Health hospital system in the University of Florida. State of the heart hospitality. This is something I've actually used before in my career with Southern hospitality with state-of-the-art technology. So I was able to kind of mingle the two together, and this is one of our taglines. So there's a lot of verbiage that goes into this. For the sake of time, I'm going to kind of brush over some of it. So cornerstone number one of the brand, the fact that the university and the hospital are just so inspired by innovation. This is something that the hotel is built for, to support everything that the hospital and the university will have going on. I thought this was very appropriate because we are going to be inspired by innovation just like the university. And then there's a whole lot of words that go into it, but as I just expressed, the relentless pursuit of forward progress and the like-minded innovation and ingenuity of the university system, so on and so forth, but just a great brand cornerstone inspired by innovation. So here are some glimpse of the pre-concepts. Again, this is where when we got a hold of it. So a lot of this you're going to notice in some of the pictures that we'll see today. It's very similar. So these are actual renderings up in the top left. But the rooms did end up with this center console. It kind of sections off the bedroom from the living room, and there's 2 TVs in each room. You can see the Core 10 steel that is entirely one side of the building is this steel that is on a daily basis oxidizing, and eventually will patina. Just such a unique build for Gainesville. So you can kind of see the wood. The entire building is wood and metals and concrete and glass. This is a look of what the elevator bay kind of ended up looking like. It's a darker wood, but this was, again, some of the concepts. Here's a lot of the uniforms that we were originally planning on. We have ended up very different than this in our uniforms. So everything had to be very health and wellness oriented. So the uniforms are very fitted, including at the front desk and or even in valet. So here is just some of the other things that were a part. One of the things we were originally talking about is that you would possibly be able to get updates for your loved ones in the hospital. We ended up with a backlit mirror in the bathrooms, but we don't have the TV behind the mirror or the updates to the weather behind the mirrors. There's a lot of wonderful things in the conceptual phases, and then actual real life can end up being a bit different. One of the things that we were talking about doing in the beginning is we would have gift baskets for it's a boy, it's a girl, or going to visit your child at the university. So we could send over a gift basket if you're going to visit your son at the dorm or your daughter at her dormitory. So in our restaurant, one of the things we were talking about was molecular mixology. So here are some of the examples that we were striving for. We've ended up with an amazing craft cocktail scene, but very proud of Covey Kitchen and Cocktails. So here is going to be our brand cornerstone number 2. This we use a whole lot. And the brand cornerstone is a welcoming retreat. We want all of our guests, whether here visiting the university, the hospital, or just Gainesville, we want to be a welcome retreat for our guests. One of the things that we tagged on throughout is kind of an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We kind of use that theme throughout. One of the amenities that we're going to have on a daily basis, we have complimentary AM and PM rituals. So what we decided for our PM ritual, or at least one of our starting rituals, we're going to have a number of these throughout, but some of our starting examples were piggybacking on an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So in the evenings, we would have maybe slices of apple, some caramel dipping sauce, and some candied ginger. In the morning, what we've talked about were fresh juice elixirs. So we might have like a orange pineapple carrot juice, or a pineapple, or I'm sorry, a spinach apple juice of some sort. But these are just unexpected delights as you're going off to take on your day or after coming home from a long day. Here in Gainesville. And here are just some of the other ideas. Some of these made it to the final cut. We did end up putting in these beautiful fountains out in Rush Lake that the hotel is kind of built around. We're planning on some amazing events. We can light up the fountain a number of different colors, and we have looked at getting these floating motifs if we wanted to have candles floating out in the water. One of the biggest things in the conceptual phases were the surrounding areas of the building. They were supposed to be very serene, walking areas, beautiful landscaping, and have a picnic bench to be able to maybe sit down, catch your breath, and think about what you have going on in the day. We have an amazing walking path around the property. A lot of the landscaping is brand new, so it's got a good bit of maturing to do, but we've got a periodic picnic bench that you can stop and catch your breath. So this is a really neat in the conceptual phases. I know Anna Marie and Mr. Grommel have seen the yoga platform, but part of our health and wellness theme throughout the property, we were going to have this wooden yoga platform. The actualization of this has ended up very different. Now it's kind of ended up being a AstroTurf area that's kind of right on the lake. but I see this being a big part of our different events. And it's going to be one of the venues, I think, that we rent out for different events that we'll host here on property. This yoga platform, we are going to have a yoga instructor too. Unfortunately, we can't do that at the moment during the pandemic, but we will be doing that in the future. So really excited. I think the biggest thing, we just had a photo shoot for a big donor of the university out there this week. And that seems to be the focal point. And that's going to end up being a spot that we take a lot of pictures and host a lot of different events. So one of the things in the restaurant, this was something, it didn't quite come out exactly the way this is illustrated, but we are working on doing to go. Cubby Kitchen and Cocktail has been a great addition, but you can order to go in the restaurant, just so everybody is aware. So skipping down here, what I'm going to go straight to is the name of the hotel. And here it is, just in black and white in front of you, but I think this is just so neat. We piggybacked on the Greek god of mercy, compassion, clemency, and pity. And I think this is a great name for the hotel, affiliated with an amazing university healthcare system like UF Health, and of course the university. So, and then with this being said, and it piggybacking back to Greek mythology, we ended up creating one of our positions in the hotel, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a little while. But the name of the hotel, and there literally is meaning behind everything, not just the name of the hotel, but the name of the restaurant, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a little bit. But thought has gone into every single detail, from the moment you walk in the building to the scent that's in the air. We have it's white bamboo, white tea and bamboo. And then the music playing in the background. We had a music stylist out of London that we spent a lot of time picking out every single song. So that is just to give you an idea of where things started. That is when myself and Rich Richardson, the general manager, took possession of the building. And we were in a building that was right next to the job site. And so we were walking the property. We had all of this branding information, and then we had to go from there. We are an independent boutique hotel, so we don't have the power of Hilton and Marriott, the big powerhouses in the industry. So we literally had to build everything from the ground up, including all of the standard operating procedures that we live by every single day. So think of in every single department, from housekeeping to maintenance to front desk and guest services. We literally had to write the manual word by word, step by step, for what everybody's doing here every day at work. So with that being said, the next step, I have a PowerPoint presentation that I put together. This is going to kind of walk through anything that I haven't already talked about, and it'll go through a few of the specific details of Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida. So here we go. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Was that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Yep.
you, Anna Marie. Okay, so here's a look of where we are today. This is actually one of my favorite shots from some of our recent photo shoots. This is the actual building. And this is a great view from the glass side that's overlooking the lake. These are the fountains that I referred to. And then kind of right there in the middle, you can see where the restaurant is located. That white area right there, you can really see it. This was an amazing photo shoot, to where the photographer had to wake up first thing in the morning to catch either sunrise or be there late at night and catch that sunset. But he caught the perfect moment. And as we all know, a picture says 1,000 words. So this was a very, very big deal. Oh, let's see. There we go. All right. So here's another one of our photo shoot pictures. This was our hero shot until some of our more recent photo shoots. But it gives a quick little overview. We've got a total of 173 rooms in the hotel. This breaks down to 20 suites. We have 20 studios. So the unique architecture of the building ended up creating a lot of different sized rooms. So we didn't know this until walking the property. So after we did, when there was a curve of the building, the outer part of the curve, the room ended up being huge, but the inside of the curve, the rooms ended up being smaller. So we broke this out as our smallest and least expensive room type, and we call it our studios. So, and then we have 20 studios, 20 suites, and we have 20 connecting rooms here on property. A lot of times in the past in my career, connecting rooms have often been a challenge, but I'm so excited to have the connecting rooms, being here, owned by the university and the hospital. I actually think it's going to be a big deal. So we've got a lot of, not a lot actually, I guess I shouldn't say it that way, but a good amount of very flexible meeting space. We've got 1,100 square foot that can divide into two 550 square foot spaces. We designed an amazing fitness studio. We started calling it the fitness center, but all of the equipment that we've included in our fitness studio, it was not elevated enough. So we even had to kick up that name a notch. And then the hotel is 100% valet. There is no self-parking options. But with that being said, I think it's turned out to be a wonderful thing because it can be very challenging, as probably everybody on this call is aware, to park on campus, whether at the university or the hospital. So we don't want our guests to have to worry about that. You're going to pull on up and let our professionals taking care of your vehicle while you're staying with us. And then one of our biggest attractions, and has just been a huge hit, is our on-site restaurant, Covey Kitchen and Cocktails. Down in the bottom left-hand of the pictures here, you can see our banh mi. This is actually our, one of our sandwiches in the restaurant, and it is delicious with the highlight of the mint and the cilantro. It is just super fresh and just so good. So here's just a breakdown of our 20 suites. And then when we first got a hold of the building, we realized that there was a bit of a premium too. So the lake view is what we're charging just a little bit more for. The other side of the building looks out kind of, we're calling it the city view, but in reality, it looks out at Paynes Prairie. It's not like looking out at a concrete jungle, but definitely looking out over the lake and looking out towards the university seems to be a premium. So there's a little bit of a premium, about a $10 to $15 difference when getting the view, essentially. So one of the things that we're so proud of here is our cleaning protocols that are keeping our employees and our guests safe. So they begin the moment you arrive in valet. We have what is called a UV disinfectant machine. This is not only will valet greet you with gloves and a mask on, but they will also take your key and they put your key into this UV disinfectant machine, and it zaps the key before they store it. And of course, this is just keeping you safe before you even enter the door. And then at that point, we have this in the design phases at the moment. We were hoping to have it up and running by this time, but nothing happens in a pandemic in a timely manner, come to find out. But we are designing a keyless or contactless guest experience. So basically, from the moment you arrive, you'll be able to check into your room, receive a key to your room, head straight to your room, bypassing the front desk. You'll be able to communicate with the staff throughout your stay. When it comes time to check out, you'll be able to send a message, please have valet bring my car around, and check out of your room, bypassing the front desk and heading right off on your way, on your travels. So I know a lot of you are probably well aware some of the major brands were doing this. We actually weren't planning on doing this in the very beginning. I'm very proud to say that we were gonna do a lot of these things in advertising and marketing the hotel as hospital grade cleaning because of our proximity to the hospital and the university. But the contactless guest experience did come as a result of the pandemic. So for whatever the reason, I think this is a wonderful amenity, even in the pre-pandemic. This is something I think that some guests really want. To me, it's a bit heartbreaking. I love the face-to-face interaction with our guests. Having a plexiglass barrier between me and my guests does break my heart a little bit, but safety needs to be all of our #1 priority. So, and then the other technology, I've talked about the UV disinfectant machine. We've talked about our contactless guest experience through our Hotel Eleo app, which is available in the App Store as of right now, but it's not fully functional as of yet. But the last and final highlight that I'd like to share about our technologies that are keeping our guests safe is we have what is called an electrostatic disinfectant sprayer. This is using a Clorox 360 product. We're very proud to use Clorox, being one of the most trusted names in disinfecting. And if you're not aware of how the machine works, essentially, it uses static electricity to disinfect the tops, the bottoms, and the sides of every surface in every room. And we use this in our guest rooms, our common areas, and our restaurants. So down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the stickers. So a lot of the brands are using stickers as well. And so on the right is, you can see our Director of Housekeeping, Erica Wilcox, who's spraying down one of our rooms. And the last thing they do is they back out of the room, close the door, and seal it with a sticker. So that when the guest breaks the seal, they're the first person to have broken the seal since the last time it was disinfected. So those are just some of the technologies that we have in place. And again, our protocols, keeping our guests safe, is our #1 priority. So here is a quick glimpse into our meeting space. This is the 1,100 square foot that I talked about. It does have an air wall, which is kind of midway through there, you can see, and it sections this off. Pre-COVID, our max capacity at Rounds was about 88, and right now our max is about 36. Even though everything is opened up, we are still handling everything with social distancing and trying to do indoor and outdoor venues when at all possible. So just another view of the meeting space here in the top right. You can see it with the air wall closed. You can see it's still a good amount of space. One of the really big highlights in our meeting space is that we have this Creston fully integrated AV system. This TV you can't quite see because it's kind of at a side angle here, but that is a 100-inch television. And then you can kind of see some of the speakers that are built into the ceiling. And then one of the parts that I was the most excited about is that we have a wired connection, and it does use HDMI wires. So we can do it that way, or, and this is the part that I couldn't believe we were going to top, but we actually just did. We can wirelessly cast both video and audio through this Creston system throughout the room. So that is something I've never had at any of my hotels over the years, and I'm really excited to have it. So I thought that might be the icing on the cake of our AV equipment in the meeting rooms, but we actually just topped it. We did get a quote. It is in the final stages of approval. We are going to have the built-in cameras for Zoom meetings, and it'll be fully integrated with our Creston system. So that actually was just announced this morning. Nobody else knows that so far, except for everybody on this call. So don't tell everybody quite yet, but it is in the works and it is going to go forward. So just to give an example, the pictures down at the bottom give some of the options of outdoor venues. We're truly having to be very creative in the new world that we find ourselves in. So we're calling the bottom right-hand corner, at times we've jokingly called this the lanai, but bottom line, it's a pavered patio. It is covered, and we can get out and service this space. We've mapped it out. We have a really neat diagramming software system for tables and chairs, so we can diagram out the different setup styles for meetings and events. And we guesstimated at round tables, we could do about 50 people in this space outside in the bottom right-hand corner. So in the new world that we find ourselves in, we've got to get very creative with our solutions for the client's needs. So another thing that I hadn't mentioned yet that we'll talk a little bit about in Covey, and I think we have it in our video that we're going to kind of push play here in a few minutes, is our private dining alcove. So Covey Kitchen and Cocktails has a really neat space. It's sectioned off with a curtain. So I'm calling it kind of semi-private, where the meeting room would be completely private, but it has a curtain that can section it off, and in there would be enough space that we could do a sit-down dinner for an 8 to 10 top. And then it's a small enough a number of people that we could probably order directly off the menu, to where it wouldn't have to be a pre-ordered catered event. So we've got a number of different venues and spaces that we can have all sorts of meetings. And then of course, everything in any one of our indoor and outdoor meeting spaces can be catered by our executive chef, Charlie Keller, who also provides the food in our amazing restaurant. So here is a glimpse at what we call our Gyrodon cart. Here is one of our star employees, Michaela. She is going to be one of our consiglières. So here's one of the things that I mentioned earlier on the call, where piggybacking on ancient Greek mythology. So if anybody had ever gone to an ancient Greek city, which of course none of us have, they would have spoken to the consul in the city that you were visiting. The consul would have told you where to go, what not to do, what to make sure not to miss out on. So we decided to create our version of a concierge, and we're calling them our consulators. So these will be the employees that are going to be responsible for providing our guests our complimentary AM and PM rituals. And they'll be served on the Gyrodon cart that you can see bottom right-hand corner. This Gyrodon cart in this picture was actually set up for a Bloody Mary bar for an event that we had, and we'll be using this for a lot of our different events that we can organize and plan. But the possibilities are endless. There's really nothing, I think, with the team that we've put together that we wouldn't be able to come up with a solution for. So here's just a picture from one of the buildings looking across what is called the Circle of Hope. And then you can see Rush Lake and the fountains. And then the far back, actually back dead center is Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida. So the original primary mission, even before we knew our brand and knew our culture that we've built up from day one, was that it was going to be built for patients and their families. So its proximity to the university and the hospital, we were going to be marketing hospital grade cleaning. All of our employees have gone through, and if they haven't already, will be going through empathy training provided by the University of Florida. And then our very strict COVID protocols are, of course, keeping all of our patients and family members safe, and all of our guests for that matter. All right, so here's going to be a video. This was something that I had produced, and I was hoping to have it ready for today's. This is definitely something that wasn't totally done in-house. We did have some models that were a part of this shoot. But being a nonprofit, a lot of what you're about to see was donated to, go towards and to help out our nonprofit status and to help out the university and the hospital. So to no further avail, let me see if we can push play here. I hope everybody enjoys this. I worked hard on this, and everybody that you see in here has basically donated their time, and I am very proud of it. Take a look. I hope you enjoy. Thank you, everybody. Let's see if I can get out of it here. So could everybody see and hear the video?
Yes, we could.
All right, wonderful. I love it when technology works. I think we've all had to learn this curve of the virtual meeting, and so I had to troubleshoot that to get that to show both the audio and the visual. So quite proud of that. That's going to be one of our marketing pieces that we're going to be pushing out. This was one of the very first times that it's debuted to anybody outside maybe senior leadership and within my management company. So that was a little sneak peek, everybody. All right, and then one of our biggest highlights, you may have even heard of Cubby Kitchen and Cocktails. If you haven't, please check it out. We've got all of our menus loaded on our website. It is hoteleleo.com/dining. You can see the craft cocktail menus, our breakfast, lunch, and dinner menus. This has just been a great hit here in Gainesville. And the far left is our Bourbon Fall, one of my favorite on the cocktail menu. There is a jus de pois, which is a pear cocktail. And then one of my wife's favorite is the jalapeno muddle. You gotta like spicy, but if you do, it is quite tasty. So, and then Charlie Keller, our executive chef, he's opened 3 restaurants in New York City. There's some great stories that I hope to share with everybody at some other time of his prior experience, but we are just so blessed to have him. He just makes sure to touch every guest in that dining room, and his skills back there in the kitchen and the team that he's put together has just been amazing. So from, from filet mignon and lobster tails to, simple things like chicken wings and a cheeseburger. Right here is a picture of his, what is it? His French toast. Well, actually, he does it 2 different ways. He does it as a bread pudding as a dessert menu, but he also does a bread pudding French toast for brunch that we've just recently started. It is delicious. And then we're very proud of a lot of the huge reviews. One of the things that I would definitely recommend to everybody is the buttermilk fried chicken. He does this as an entree, but he also has a fried chicken sandwich. It is just phenomenal. Well, please do check out our social media handles. Here are just some pictures of the restaurant. There's our salmon entree, the banh mi top left. This is actually our Cobb salad, which is the center of the top right picture. That is the best Cobb salad that I've ever had. And I highly recommend everybody coming to try it out. Bottom right-hand corner is Caitlin, service with a smile. She is just phenomenal. We've got some great shots in our recent photo shoots of her. And then here's just a brief little overview of the brief history. We flipped the switch July 1st, like I mentioned. September 1st was supposed to be the first day that Cubby Kitchen was going to be open to the general public. Again, we flipped that switch a little early, so the first meal was on August 24th, a week early. We did do our official ribbon cutting ceremony. It was COVID style, as we were calling it. It was essentially just a photo op. And then, of course, now I get the opportunity to present Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida to all of you. So very proud to share the story. So, and it's not over. We've got more to go here. Don't think, but please, everybody, if you are into social media, we are literally needing everybody to like us and friend us and share our content. A big part of not being a branded, a part of Hilton or Marriott, let's say, is that we have to do all of our own public relations. And so one of the biggest components of that is our social media. So I have hired a publicist and a PR firm to assist me in this process. I struggle to keep up with social media with my own personal life, nonetheless keeping a handle on this many handles, and we have to have daily posts, constantly engaging our audiences. So please do like us and friend us and share. We really do need that. If you've liked the story here today, you can help us spread that word. We need everybody's help in doing that. So, and then just so anybody has it, I know some of you already have my contact information, but here is my email. Here is my direct line here at my desk. If you get the voicemail, just leave a message. I'll call you back, and or my cell phone. So as you all are very well aware, the hotel business is open 24/7, 365. So needless to say, my cell phone is always on, and I am a phone call away to all of you. So with that being said, that is the remaining of my presentation here today. Let's see if I can stop sharing. All right, and we've had a few more people join us. See some familiar faces. Hello, Max. Thanks for joining us today, bud.
Hey, how are you?
Very good, very good. So we have another video. Mr. Grommel and Anna Marie came over for a tour and they took a video while they were here. So what I'd like to do is what I was thinking about is playing that video and then kind of taking some questions. There might have been some things that triggered some questions here throughout the presentation, and or you may have had some prior knowledge and just looking for an update. But Anna Marie, can we launch your video, and then I can certainly take any questions from everybody. Karen, well done, and thank you for your help with the video we're about to show, by the way. All right, so here we go. I should be able to start this, but please, everybody, if I don't know, Anna Marie, if you want to unmute, everybody can ask any questions. I was just going to have this kind of play in the background.
Yeah, so go ahead and we'll pause the, there we go. So go ahead and ask your questions. Jason will answer any questions you have.
While we're waiting for the other questions, Jason, I have a question. How does the nonprofit work? I've never worked for a hotel chain that was nonprofit. So can you kind of fill us in a little bit about how the nonprofit works?
Absolutely. So this is a great question. It seems to be one of the first questions that everybody asks. And the nonprofit status is one of the first things that I like to share with everybody. You know, if you think about it in terms of big donors to the university, you know, they often write large checks. Well, now they can literally support the university by just staying here at Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida. So I'm hoping to have an actual formal press release on the information that we would be able to share with absolutely everybody. But to kind of make it simple, think of basically the hotel as just another department of the hospital or the university. So the one thing that I have verified with senior leadership at the hospital, the way that I'm able to kind of say it without getting lost in the weeds per se, is that it's a nonprofit benefiting education and healthcare. So that is as far as I can take it without, getting into things that I don't know enough about. So I wish I could share more of the specifics of that, but the bottom line, it's just like, someone spending money at the university and or spending money at the hospital. I hope that answers your question, Ron, without.
It does. Yep.
It's kind of right where we left it off last time you and I spoke. And I am hoping to have a formal, but the bottom line, it'll go towards projects to, maybe increase transportation at the university, or, get a new piece of imaging equipment at the hospital, things like that.
I had a question kind of along the same lines, but whenever you make revenue off of room sales or sales at Covey, does that stay within the hotel like for a certain period, like within the revenue and expenses, or does it go to like a bigger account like for the hospitals, or is it specifically for Eleo?
Really good question, Max. You're paying close attention in class. So no, we have our own P&L. So we would manage it just like every hotel. So in the end, the P&L is of course responsible to senior leadership at the university and the hospital. But yes, so we literally would have top line and bottom line and all of those line items of every single detail in between. And then that's what we would report to ownership on, essentially. Very good question, Max.
Thank you.
So here's us walking into the fitness studio. If nobody else has a question, I know I talked about it earlier. Fun story about the fitness studio while it's going on in the background there is Peloton. The co-inventor of Peloton happens to be a big donor to the University of Florida. So I am so excited that we have Peloton in our fitness studio. So when I first heard that, I heard that from U of Health Development on a tour. And so I got all excited. I put on my marketing hat and I'm like, this is great. We need to get him here to the hotel. I need a picture of him on his equipment. Come to find out, he's a very private man, and I'm probably never going to get that picture of him on our Peloton equipment, but I'm still excited that he's a big donor and that we have the equipment in our fitness studio. And then, believe it or not, this is a TRX training zone in our fitness studio. So one of the things that came up is one of our, it was a client at the hospital, but they were saying that sometimes some of their patients may need PT. So would their physical therapist be able to come and train them in our fitness studio? Absolutely. That is exactly why we bought such high-end equipment. So here's a neat little walking down from the fitness studio towards our meeting space. You can see the outdoor patio area. And I think that outdoor space in the new world that we find ourselves is going to come in handy a whole lot. So this is a look in the meeting room where we kind of oriented it on the middle of the room as opposed to one end or the other. But you can see the 100-inch television. Ooh, I know where we're going here next. So this is when I always love to go to the 6th floor, and this is right at the elevator bay. And you can see out over the lake, our beautiful fountains, and then you can see these amazing buildings. That building on the right is the Heart and Vascular and Neuromedicine Hospital. That building alone is just under $500 million. It was 400 and something million dollars to build that. That was the building that the hospital and university built before they built our hotel. And then all of these sidewalks that you can see kind of on the right or left of this sign, all would connect to the greater university. All of them have the blue emergency posts that you can hit, if you need support or help in an emergency at any time. All of the spaces outside the building are maintained by the university too, which gives engineering a great job here. They only have to worry about under the roof and within the walls. Everything outside is maintained by the university and facilities.
I had another question about the walkways. I know in marketing class last semester you said something about doing covered pathways to the hospitals. Is that still
They
something?
didn't quite make the final cut, Max. It's a good question, and you're absolutely right. I did think we were going to end up with a good bit more of them. So there is a walkway. If you are looking out over the lake off to the left, and it is a covered walkway, it just doesn't, there's not a completely covered path everywhere. So we got some of it. It's kind of, I guess I would equate it like the yoga platform. Originally, it was going to be a wooden deck built out over the lake, like in some of those pictures in the beginning of my presentation. So we do have some covered walkways. We just didn't get all of them, but there are some. Good memory. Very good memory. And now we're on the 3rd floor. This is one of our connecting sets of rooms. When we do have 2 beds in the room, there are 2 queen beds in the room. And here is a look at them. And then I'm pointing to, we have white noise machines, QI wireless chargers on our alarm clocks in every room. And then at the moment, I'm pointing to our remote controls. So all of our remote controls are disinfected for our guest safety. They're put in these bags and then sealed with a sticker. Funny story though, housekeeping is coming in the rooms after checkouts and finding that the bag is left untouched. And so that means the guests are just grabbing the bag and using it in the bag instead of removing what was sanitized for their safety inside the bag. But again, we're all learning this new world that we are in. So, and then you just saw me messing with our in-room coffee experience. It is Nespresso, which I'm glad to share with everybody. That's the most high-end in-room coffee experience that I've had yet in my career. Here's our sanitized remote controls. And then there's the white noise machine that you'll find in every single guest room.
Jason, I have a question about the initial opening versus the rollback. Did you have plans, or did you already have plans in place where you hired staff? And then did you have to essentially let those people go and then rehire them, or how did that work?
That's another really good question. So that was quite a process. Basically, what we did was we hired key management. So we need to have somebody for every position, basically, or every department. And then we did kind of hold off until a certain point to hire the rest of the staff. Really, we are nowhere near full employment either. At this point, as we continue to build up the business, is when, as demand levels increase, is when we'll be taking on more employees. But that was a very fluid situation, let's say, for quite a while there, until we came to the point where we knew that what we needed, and then at that point we hired in a lot of those positions that were kind of on hold as we were waiting for that day to post those positions. So, but very good question, because that was quite a process. I can't tell you how many conference calls where we put it on hold, picked it back up, started talking about it again. That probably went on for 2 or 3 months almost, I would say. But good question.
I also have another question about the physical building, the facing the street, more or less. There's been a lot of, I guess, if you live locally or if you've driven by the building, people might say that it's more of a eyesore. Could you explain like the oxidation process and why you chose to go that way, and how the end result will actually look?
Absolutely. Good question. This is just one of the most unique builds in all of Gainesville. So the architect was a UF alum, a gentleman by the name Alberto Alfonso, and he owns an architecture firm, Alfonso Architects. So all of you maybe, and if you haven't heard of it, you could check it out. But this design with the metal and the glass and the exposed concrete is one of his visions. There is a resort called Stream Song in Florida, and it has the metal on the one side, the glass in the other, the different, the center console of the furniture. So, but that one side of the building is core 10 steel, and it is on a daily basis literally rusting. So we're trying to call rusting, we're calling it oxidizing to make it sound a little more formal. And basically after 9 months of continuously rusting, it will what we call patina. And then when it patinas, it will never change colors after that. And it also seals it from the elements. And so it would be kind of like what painting a building would do. Now, a lot of people have questions about this. Is this finished? Are they going to paint it? The answer is no. They are not going to paint it. And yes, it is finished in terms that it's in its finished state. Once we get to the completion of the 9 months, it will not oxidize any further and will not change any further colors. So my hope is, though, that it's going to be less rusty red and more gator orange. But that's my hope. And we'll see where we end up in the end. But that is definitely a moving piece of this puzzle. And great job on the video, everybody. Thank you very much for filming that. And Karen, thank you for your hard work in editing it.
Jason, this is Ron again. Hey, are you completely open now and finished, or are there still items that are being completed or developed?
We are fully open and operating. There are still a few things that are in the works, like the contactless guest experience. So the app is not fully operational yet. And then the other piece of the puzzle right off the top of my head is we haven't activated the concierge as of yet in the AM and PM rituals. Right off the top of my head, those are the only two things that we don't have off the ground. But no, we are fully open, and we are open to the general public. And we really do need your help. Please share the word, everybody. We just need to get the word out. We're not quite as busy as we had hoped to be out the gate. A lot of that has to do with the pandemic, but it's also about awareness. So calls like this and sharing the story with others is how that's going to happen. So please help me and supporting the university by spreading the word. I saw a thumbs up. Thank you, Alma. What do you charge for those virtual? I think I see the question. Here, I can see it here, can't I? So how we're going to charge for these is a really good question. I'm just excited that I know that we're going to be getting them at this point. But for example, there probably might be a charge for some of the equipment in the future. At this point, we're in the big part of building awareness and getting people into the property and having them experience and fall in love with everything. So we don't know whether we're going to be charging for it out the gate. But if we're not, there probably will be a charge at some point in time in the future. Virtual attendance for those cameras and bandwidth, they are just a part of the AV package you offer to your clients. We will have AV packages, and don't think we will be charging for virtual attendees per se. I think once we set it up online, I don't think we would charge per person. But good question, something I actually hadn't thought of as we've been sorting through. Good question.
Jason, in the future, or when you start ramping up staff, are you offering internships for students?
I know, Mr. Grommel, you may be able to speak to that a little more than I do. I was so busy here with sales and everything, but I know that we started the conversation and that it was heading down the path. I don't know where it stands at the moment. So I think the answer is yes. Ron, can you give us an update on that?
And the answer is yes. The M department and the Eleo is working on an internship. And it's going to start off, I believe, with one intern and then possibly grow into multiple interns. That is in the works right now, and I actually have to check on it to find out where the progress is on that. I know last I had heard about 2-3 weeks ago, it was going forward. We had come from your office over to our office, but I'm not sure exactly where it's at right now.
Yeah, I'm not 100% either. I know our HR manager was excited about it, and definitely would love all these great minds to come and help us with Hotel Eleo at the University of Florida.
I think both sides were hoping that it would be finished and up and running for one intern by the spring.
All right. Well, good.
Do we have any other questions? I do have one last question before.
Go ahead, Anna. Real quick too, before you ask your last question, did anybody from the public relations class make today's call by chance?
Yeah, if you're in the public relations, give a thumbs up.
Did nobody make it?
Yeah.
Oh, I am. Okay. Lauren, thank you for joining us today. So there we go. Megan too. Sydney. All right. Well, good, guys. When she shared that with me, what I wanted to kind of speak to on that note was that this has been a big introduction for me in, public relations even. A lot of times with the big branded and, parent companies, there's a lot of things that are there for that. So I've gotten to work very closely with our publicist and on all of our public relations initiatives. So that's just been such a big part. And I think it's going to be a huge part going forward. So just trying to tie to every single event in the community and, any cross promotion that we can do with local attractions and working with our local, Visit Gainesville, Convention and Visitors Bureau, and of course the Chamber of Commerce. And, she and I talk often. We're like, sidekicks in this process. So I think that's going to be a big part of the success of Hotel Eleo. And Anna Marie, I know I cut you off. You were about to ask a question, but I had to ask that because it's just been such a big part of everything we've done so far.
Yeah, actually, it kind of ties in with that a little bit. So you, I mean, aside from your position now, you've spent several years, over a decade now, in hotel management and hospitality. Because our industry has more or less tanked in over the last 9 months, what kind of advice could you give our students to kind of stay strong, or just be resilient, and what kind of things could we keep on staying in hospitality and not abandoning it?
Absolutely. Never give up on hospitality, everybody. From the moment I worked my first front desk shift, I fell in love with it, and we are going to get to the other end of this. I promise you. It's going to be a new normal, I'm afraid, but we will get to the other end, and don't give up. One of the things that I've always said since I've been in the hospitality industry is the harder I've worked, the luckier I've gotten. So I can see the business transitioning. Whether we're going to have plexiglass barriers between us and our guest is a good question, but there are masks, and we can stay safe and do what we do best, which is making people happy and bringing smiles to people's faces. It's the reason why I go to work every day. So it's going to change for sure, but it's not going to end. And that is what I would tell everybody on this call.
Do we have any last minute questions for Jason? No? Okay, well, I do also want to thank Karen. Karen is also on this call. Karen, thank you so much for putting that video together. You did an amazing job.
You really did, Karen. Thank you very much. I'm going to use that, by the way, in my day-to-day activities. So thank you so much.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today on our final Tourism Tuesday of the semester.
Woohoo!
You wrapped us up very great.
Does that mean I get to leave for Thanksgiving now?
Yes, and thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you do have a great Thanksgiving break next week, and hopefully you will join us next semester. Jason, thanks again for joining. We really appreciate it.
I would be glad to. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Happy
Jason.
Thanks,
holidays.
Mr. Dugan.
Of course. Bye, Mr. Grommo. Thanks again,
Bye.
Karen.
We'll be talking. I'll be in touch.
Call me anytime.